Pax8 Beyond 2025. What an event. Third year they've had it. I've had the great pleasure of being there for all three. This one was the biggest. It was over 3,400 total attendees, 2,400 partner registrations, like over 40 breakouts and over 40 education sessions. It was the entertainment was fantastic. Snoop Dogg came out and performed. It was a really, really great event. Podcast was there, of course. We had a whole podcasters row. I think there was 10 of us. It was fantastic. It was done very, very well. I was able to, me and my team, we conducted 24 interviews, had 24 great conversations there in Denver. Kathleen Lord, lessons from the saddle, grit, growth, and tech insight. Great conversation with Kathleen. Aaron Pederick, yes, coaching cybersecurity and real life comebacks. Fascinating story Aaron has. Shlomi, of course, I've known Shlomi Jan for a little while now. Really, really insightful. Really like talking to Shlomi. Kim Simmonds, my goodness, what such energy, such life. I hope to be working more with her and her team. They were gracious enough to invite me to a dinner. It was they've got a great product, smarter. The name of the episode is Creativity Meets Contracts. Colin Britton, of course, Formula One to Intune. Great partner there. Colin, great conversation with Intune with his great platform. Marco LaVecchia, data, purpose, and the MSP playbook. Great conversation with Marco. Rex Frank, my old friend. I've known Rex for, 15, 20 years. He's there at Pax8. Really knowledgeable. Learned some things about him I didn't know during our conversation. Oh my goodness, Lorna Berman. What a delight. What an absolute delight to talk to Lorna and her team riding Malibu and running MSP ops. She's got a horse named Malibu, but great insight, great platform they had there too. Tom Harshbarger. My goodness, I've known Tom since he was at Microsoft about 20 years. Now he's with this great firm, Metallica, misconfigs and mindset. We talk a lot about that. Great conversation with Tom. Lewis, of course, Begdanis from Uvilla. Great conversation. I start off with cooking. I like to cook, and he does too. Meatball Mindset and MSP projects. Darren Swan, great conversation with Darren. I've known Darren for a little while now. Enjoyed talking to him. Opened the conversation with Vinyl, Espresso, and Cyber Trust. Pinar, yes, I love speaking with Pinar. Pickleball, Possums and Proactive Security. Great conversation with Pinar, CEO of that great firm. Tanya, of course, got to know Tanya. We had a great conversation on the phone before we met there and had the conversation in Denver. Tanya Alfonso from Kitchen to Cybersecurity. Damo, I love talking to Damo, of course, from Super Ops. Barbells and AI for MSPs. Great conversation with Demo. Charlie Tomio. I've known Charlie for 15, 20 years now. Great talking. We talk about, phishing and MSP automation, the great Roost platform. Ryan Etteridge, Black Belts and CyberCert. Great conversation with Ryan. Fascinating insight. The martial arts plays on people's lives. Joe Saunders, cigars, securities, and self-reflection. Great conversation with Joe. Rob Ray, been in the community for, I've known him since he was even before Dado, fellow Connecticut resident. Great talking to Rob. He's doing great things there as vice president there at Pax8. Drew Schlessel, of course, great talking about their Wasabi platform. We actually became a partner as well. The platform is so good. Chance Weaver, AI adoption. He's there at Pax8 talking about his great story and how he got there, but he's working on AI adoption at Pax8. Christopher Marquez. I've had the good pleasure of knowing Christopher for a little while now. We talk about Chile, coaching and cyber threats. Really great insight from Christopher. Chris Day, been in the, my goodness, I've known him since, from IT Glue all the way where he is now at ScalePad. Been in the system for a long, been in the channel, the community for a long time. Gene Kim, surfboard, security, and staying operational. Enjoyed talking to Gene. I had the chance to meet him at Secure, ConnectWise Secure. And lastly, Ken Tripp, Microsoft Copilot and compliance. Great conversations there at Pax8 Beyond 2025. Incredible event. Can't wait to see what they come up with next. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because I was working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. So how do you go about writing a song?
Oh, you read what I wrote to you. So if you can't explain it, it comes from the heart. You know, you sit at the piano, and I've been playing. I've been composing since I was 2, 3.
Really?
Yeah, my parents bought me this little tiny keyboard, and I was just, playing, tinkering, and it just became a thing. And I don't know, it just comes from the heart, Joe. It's like it moves through me, and I just have to express something. So normally it's an emotional reaction to something, whether it's love or, heartbreak or someone hurting me, or like a profound love for something, So it comes through that way.
Has there been a point where it happened and you weren't in a place to write a song and you have to remember it?
Yeah, and I sing it out loud. And sometimes, especially when I was younger, maybe not so much anymore, because I think stress kind of gets in the way of that, to be honest with you, which is unfortunate. But I used to write down the lyrics. It'd just come to me, and the melody, and I'd have to keep repeating it because I've got such a terrible memory. I'd have to keep, but actually, even though I'd repeat it, sometimes I'd forget some parts of the melody, which allowed me to then make it better later. But yeah.
So what comes first, the lyrics or the melody?
No, the melody.
Melody
normally.
always.
But sometimes it is the lyrics. Sometimes it's really hard to say. I mean, 9 times out of 10 it's melody, but when those lyrics come through, there's a reason for it. I always think something in me has to express that out loud.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection, powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza Dash MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow.
So
you're never challenged with the blank page because you just wait for inspiration.
I do, yeah. So I'll only sit at my piano if I feel really called to do it. I don't just sit at my piano every day and hope for the best.
Right.
So my piano has collected a bit of dust over the last few months.
I was going to say, when's the last time it happened?
It happened about 3 months ago. My kids actually were saying to me, Mummy, they love my songs.
Oh.
So they said, oh, Mummy, can you play for me one of your songs that they love? So I sat down at the piano and I played for them. And then just other things started to come through at that point, and I didn't realize it. So I was playing, and then I was creating a new song out of it. So yeah.
And is it verse, chorus, bridge, chorus?
Yeah, it's traditional kind of, but even that, I don't even follow, and you'll know this about me today, I don't follow tradition. I'm very much break the mold of everything. I never really learnt how to play the piano. Like I was never taught how to play.
Interesting.
I learned through just recognizing the melody and just listening to the chords and figuring out how to play the chords and then marrying it up with the melody.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm very like, I don't follow the traditional path of many things.
A little more on the inspiration, because there's this story, of course, where Bob Dylan writes Along the Watchtower, and then within weeks, Jimi Hendrix performs it live, and Bob Dylan sees it and says, that's his song. That was never my song. That's the way it's supposed to be played. So he feels, many of these artists feel, that it comes to them, but sometimes it's not theirs.
Yeah, like they're channeling it.
So have you ever felt that you got something and it wasn't yours?
Well, I don't think anyone owns anything creating.
And he never performed the song again.
No, interesting.
He insisted
really
that it's his.
Beautiful. Well, I think, I don't think I own any of the music. I think I kind of channel the music, if that makes any sense at all. So yeah, that's just how I live life,
Is every artist a thief?
From who?
Nobody knows, right?
From God. Do you know what? I think that, of course, you're going to get one or two artists that deliberately copy people's music, or they want to maybe not copy, maybe they want to reinvent it. They hear something else about the melody. You get that a lot with Jay-Z, and they hear an old tune and they create it into something absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't call that theft. I'd call that reinvention, which is an interesting concept, I guess.
Do you always have a melody in your head?
No.
I do.
No. Do you?
Yeah.
So are you musically...
I play a couple instruments. I've never written a song, though, so it's very different.
Why do you think that is?
The Beatles made me play guitar.
Oh, okay. Well, I've made a lot of people play guitar.
Yeah,
That's so
a lot
incredible.
of people play guitar. Yeah. So, I've always got melodies, but I never thought of I don't know. I know like 7 or 8 chords. I was at a wedding recently, and there's a performer, and he was excellent. And I talked to him, and I said, he goes, "Do you play?" And I said, "Well, I know 6 or 7 chords." And he goes, "Well, that's 5 more than I know."
Oh, wow.
Because they say John Lennon only knew 5. Who knows? But it's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't have that. I just see sheet music or tablature, and when you create these songs, do you write it? Do you commit it to paper?
So I can't write music. I can't even read music. So when I was younger, and I took this a lot more seriously, I bought an electric piano that was hooked up to a computer system that could write it for me.
I see.
So I used to have to copyright a lot of my music. At the point, I was kind of really seriously taking it into, and I was being pushed a little bit towards that. And so they told me, you need to copyright your music, so nobody can copy this. And at that point, I was, all in that kind of energy.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I used this, I can't remember what it's called now. Such a long time ago. But I would record it through this thing, and then it would literally show me the whole manuscript.
Incredible.
Yeah. And I'd be like, wow, that looks really complicated. And I can't even read it.
Did you gig?
It's piano. It's not like gigging, but I did a lot of concerts. I did a lot of concerts and stuff. And my thing was always my voice, because I never felt very confident with my voice. So I'd always be quite shy about singing my music out loud. So I would try and find the best singer that I knew that would come along and sing the music for me. But sometimes, singing it yourself brings out a whole different...
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So I had to start getting over that fear a little bit, but yeah.
And you have to kind of lower your guard a little bit.
Yeah.
You're very vulnerable when you're singing, aren't you?
You know what? You go into a very different world.
Yeah.
You don't even really kind of see or feel what's around you. You're in a bubble, which I loved, because I love this bubble. It was like being away from everything. It was just my little bit of heaven.
Departure.
Yeah. I do more artwork now.
I was going to say, now you do artwork, so it's painting?
It's painting, abstract painting.
It's all abstract. It's water. It's
No, it's acrylic.
It's acrylic.
Well, I use different mediums, sometimes acrylic, sometimes spray paint, because I like that hard street graffiti. I love it. It's really like gritty, and I like a bit of grittiness in an art piece. So I kind of try and mix a bit of my mediums.
Do you see the picture before you paint it?
Yeah, I do. At least I see the colors. I see the image. I feel what I want it to look like. But then it does take an evolution through, you know. So I'm not always, the end piece is not always everything that I thought of when I first started. And this is, by the way, very much like my life, you know. That's what you'll figure out with me. I'm a creator.
Yeah, you are a creator. I get to talk to fiction writers, and when they say things like, I had no idea what this character was going to do.
Yeah.
It started writing itself. It blows me away. I don't have anything parallel in my life like that.
Yeah.
So you see you have a rough, I talk to painters too, and they say something very similar. I kind of see what is going to happen, but then there's certain areas we're not sure, and it evolves.
Like you said, it takes over.
Yeah.
There's something about that energy you put into it that it starts to bring life into things, which might be kind of similar to AI. I don't know. This is why this whole, you know, even AI, when you look at that, gives you such an amazing insight into the creation of things. You know, where do we evolve with it?
We might be creating a new life form with AI.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we are.
We have to tread carefully, and
I agree. You know, it's interesting. I'm at the Pax8 Beyond event, and we had, you know, Scott, who is the CEO and the visionary, talking about agentic work and where that's leading MSPs and where that's kind of going.
Yes.
And, you know, it is very, and I love it, but it's also very much about money, commerciality. Let's cut the work staff to get the agentics in. And I get why they're doing it. And I get this is the future. I think we need to just take stock of what that really means. And is there a way that we can coexist? Is there a way that we can be a bit more conscious about what we are creating and saying out there in order to allow us to really thrive with this, not to feel like it's a survival, you know, and it's the survival of the fittest. It felt a bit like that, but not in a bad way, just in a way that I sort of took a moment to think about what that future really means to us as humans. Sorry, it's very deep and meaningful on a Monday morning. But there
Is
you
it
go.
Monday?
So I don't even know.
Everything's off. We're here in Denver, as you mentioned, Kim, at Pax8 Beyond 25. What are some of your goals this week?
So we are bringing out our AI product called Cloud Contracts 365, which is a legal tech platform for MSPs. It is literally only for MSPs. My goal is awareness. That, again, this is conscious AI. It's machine learning. It's not using LLMs. There's no hallucinations. There's no trying to please you through fake case law, which happened in Colorado, by the way.
Really?
Did you hear about this?
No. An AI invented case?
So the lawyers used ChatGPT and then they found a case law because ChatGPT wants to give you the right answer. It wants to please you.
Yeah.
So they took it to the judge, who looked at them like, what case law? This isn't a real case law. They were horrified. Anyway, they all got debarred because the judge was like...
Unbelievable.
Yeah, because they're like... Yeah, and quite rightly, you are here studying... You're in the profession. People trust this profession. Do not stamp on it through ChatGPT. It's not accurate enough for this right now. So that's you know, for me, it's creating awareness that you can still get these AI automation tools, but you don't have to suffer the consequences of them. And you can build that into your systems, your processes, your contract process. You can build contracts, you can manage, you can even review it through our platform. So think about vendor contracts. They have no idea what risk they're taking on. All of that does it for you, but it's doing it safely. That's what I want to bring awareness to things like this that do exist.
What is your history with MSPs?
So I've been in the MSP community for 15 years.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. So my ex-husband,
Ah.
but we're good friends, so it's all good. He ran an MSP in England for many, many years, for 20 years, and then he sold it on. And I was the lawyer in charge of all of the documents and all of the contracts and all the processes.
See.
So it gave me the
some
most
insight.
incredible lens into how this works.
Oh, that's cool.
Not just from a legal point of view. I'm not there just focused on one thing. I'm looking at the cash flow. I'm looking at how do you retain clients. I'm looking at the customer journey. I'm looking at every touch point that there is. The technology, how do we put that in our work orders to really protect ourselves but also inform the client? So I gained all of that sort of expertise and built a law firm out of it. That was my sort of Law 365 journey for 15 years. So that's really where my passion came from, I guess.
I see a collision here with art and science.
Yeah.
Because law is very much science.
Yeah. It's very creative, actually.
Is it? How so?
Yeah.
But isn't it black and white? Here are the
No,
cases. And
it's not. That's what I love about the common law system. So US, UK, Australia, Canada, common law jurisdictions. That just means that you get to test out the law with the judge, which means that you might have some sort of angle, roughly where the remits of the law starts and stops because it's already been tried and tested, and that's what the judge has indicated. And you have statute law and obviously constitutional law and what have you. But you get to argue whether that's still current, whether that still applies, and if it's still meeting the needs of today's society. And I think that's what I love so much about these kinds of systems, So it's creative.
It is creative. I never really thought of that angle.
Yeah.
Is that why you love it?
I think that's why I kind of drew myself into it. I got drawn into it because there was the creative angle. But actually, to be truthful, my mum kind of forced me into it.
What?
Yeah, she's so naughty. And she's got one doctor, one surgeon, and one lawyer as children. So she knew how to push her children in the right way. Actually, my brother lives in New York. He's the ENT surgeon in New York. So I've saw lots of family in the stateside. So she said to me, Kim, you know what? I think you need to go into law. It opens up lots of doors for you, blah, blah, blah. And I almost quit after I studied it because I was like, this feels a bit boring. And then I had this great professor, just my last year of my law degree. And he showed me what law really is. He helped me to understand it's not just what you read in the textbooks and you have to regurgitate in your exams. It's this world that you can explore and create. And I think that was what actually kept me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I actually was a New York attorney before I was a UK attorney.
Really?
Yes. So that was kind of my baptism by fire.
You went to law school in the States?
I did do a master's in the States after I did my law degree in England.
I see.
And then took the New York bar. And I went and worked for a big American law firm in New York for many years.
It's amazing what one professor can do.
Oh, honestly, it's a game changer.
And practicing law in the States versus the United Kingdom?
It's harder.
It's harder where?
Yeah, in New York, in the States.
Why?
Because you guys have such a strong work ethic. It's sort of 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, we enjoy our work-life balance, I think, a lot more. You've probably heard this from across the pond. Working past 5 o'clock is frowned upon, which in America, you'd never frown upon someone. I mean, you'd frown upon someone leaving at 5 o'clock maybe. So very different kind of culture to work. Yeah.
My father's Italian.
What about Italian?
My father's Italian.
Oh, okay.
So he came over to New York. And so, so I spent a lot of time over there. And so, the culture especially. Well, it's insulting to ask somebody what they do for a profession because then they'll relate it to, I only work to live. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me about that.
Yeah.
That's very different.
And the Italians shut down in August.
Oh, my. There's a strike every day, Kim.
That's the French. Probably the Italians
so
as
many.
well.
I tell this one story. I was there when 10, 11, 12. My two cousins.
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today. You're going to find this hard to believe, Antonio and Franco, right? What are the odds? And they work for the small town. I don't know what they did. They swept something. It was Monday and it was raining.
Yeah.
I said, why aren't you working today? And they said, it's raining today. We don't work when it rains. I said, oh, okay. So, we drank wine and played cards.
Yeah.
Tuesday was raining. They didn't play. And Wednesday was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And they weren't working. I said, why aren't you working today? They said, you never start the week on a Wednesday.
I love it. Can I go live in Italy, please?
And
Maybe
that
we should
doesn't
all go
surprise
there.
you, right?
It doesn't surprise me. No, not at all.
Here, I tell
You'd never
people
do
that
that.
they don't get it.
No.
They don't get it.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
I know. I think they sort of see it as a more lazy culture. And I sort of understand, but it's just a different perspective.
It's just different.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just for them, they value their community.
They do. They do a lot more. Yeah.
So
and they eat
that's
for a
what they
long
need more time for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are with MSPs, and I was in London earlier this year for Connect sent me over there, and the MSPs, they just I'm not quite sure, but there's just some things are just a little different. I haven't really put my finger on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I started my MSP in '93. I sold it in 2019, but
Congratulations.
I don't really know. Could you tell the difference?
I mean, I think the MSPs in England, they're a bit more concerned about the pricing. They're more concerned about their value. I don't think they understand their value in the market, but Americans are more confident.
Interesting.
That's what I see immediately off the bat. And I think this is a very English cultural thing. We don't value ourselves. We don't charge the higher prices. It's rare to find an MSP that really understands its value and can go for the bigger ticket items. A lot of the MSPs I've worked with, they're like, no, we don't do 12-month, terms and renewals. We do 30-day rolling terms. I said, why would you do that? What about your reoccurring revenue?
Yes.
What about the valuation in your business? No, we don't need to. Our clients, if they love us, they'll stay. And of course they'll stay. That's great. But then if someone's looking to come in and purchase your business later, they want to know that there is a certainty of cash flow. There's a certainty of client base. There's also, how do you build a relationship confidently yourself,
knowing that you can just
that they
quit.
could go in 30
Yeah.
days. How does that make you feel? Well, we're fine, we're confident. Well, okay, but wouldn't you be even more confident that wouldn't you strive harder knowing that they were committed to 12 months and you'd want to push it more? Just a different perspective,
Very
right?
different. I also know the peer groups here in the States tend to share a little bit more than is what I'm told. It's fascinating, Kim, that you have you have a little bit, you have both kind of best of both worlds, perhaps. Yeah, you have that. I don't know if it's an advantage, but you have that more insight anyway.
It's more insight.
Yeah.
I think what I love is that I'm able to, with my skill set, not just advise on the legal aspect of life or build a legal tech tool to help them do what exactly we're doing as lawyers, but also I get to see the pain and tell them that I understand this pain and how to look past it. And I think that's the difference. Lawyers are very analytical. They understand how things work, and they can help them be more professional, more, and help their growth. And I always say this to my MSPs, don't think as lawyers or a legal tech platform as a cost. Think of it as a growth engine. Because the more your customer has that touch point with you, the smoother the customer journey, the more professional you come across and you seem, the better it is for the success of your company, for the customer service, for the team that you employ, because they want to feel secure
You're protecting them.
that their owners are thinking about them too and not putting it on them to figure things out.
Kim, has there been anything in the last month or so you changed your mind on?
Oh God, that's a big question. did I change my mind on? Yeah, there's maybe a few things that I've changed my mind on. I think sometimes we can get into this whole picture of, we need to build the revenue, we need to do this, we need to go and catch this ICP, we need to kind of do that. And I think what I changed my mind on is actually, it's not about the revenue. It's not about the ICP. It's about the service that you're delivering out to the world that matters. It's, I always think as everyone should be thinking of what is their service to the world? What is their part to play in this world? And to do it bloody well, and to focus on that. How can I become better at advising my MSPs? How can I provide more support, more help, more guidance, more tech to enable them to get to where they want to get to? I defocused me and focused more on my client base. And I know that sounds like a pitch. It really isn't. That is genuinely...
It's a shift.
It was almost a shift, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an important shift because you start to do things differently.
Yeah.
So I started my MSP, like I said, in the 90s. And I was working way too hard, Kim. 14, 16-hour days.
Goodness.
Terrible, putting my health in the back seat.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor. She tells me I'm at 340 pounds.
Oh.
And she says,
You
if
would
you
never
don't
know
lose this,
that.
yeah, she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate.
Wow.
She was just born. Scared the life out of me.
Yeah.
Spends next 6, 7, I'm driving home punching the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I did this to myself. I can abuse myself all I want, but now I have this family. Spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 120 pounds.
Wow.
Kept it up. You can't look at it as a finishing line, right? These are lifelong changes you need to make. So when I tell people this story, they say, what's your secret, what you do? And there's no secret, just discipline.
Yeah.
That's how. This is routine, willpower, focus. How does discipline play a role in your life?
Well, actually, but firstly, I'm just going to say that's amazing.
Yeah.
And well done you.
Yeah.
Because that is, we have our challenges in our life and these things drop in. And it's all about how you react to the things in your life. Because it may be weight, it might be alcohol, it might be smoking, it might be addiction to work, it might be, I'm losing everything. I'm losing my income. It could be the devastation of things. But it's how we respond to these things in life that set us on the path of who we actually really are. And that's amazing that you've done that. So I just want to just give you that space there. For me, I think that my turning point in life has always been where you focus so much on what you think is the end effect, the end result. I'm building my business for the end, for the exit. I want to get X amount of valuation for my business. I want to drive. And these are important things. You heard me say they are important things. I'm not saying they're not, because there's also joy in that journey as well. There's a lot of fun. And I'll talk about that because fun is the most important element. If you are not having fun on your journey, if you are not loving that moment in time, stop for a second and ask yourself why. Just a simple why. What's going on? If that stress is becoming too much for you, ask yourself why. And it could just be a different mindset that can change the whole world. But a lot of people don't stop and ask themselves that. They just, like a hamster in a wheel, they just keep going. They're like, this is normal. Stress is supposed to give me valuation. Stress is supposed to give me, I'm going to have all my riches and, my wealth. And then they get to that point and they're like, what was it worth? So I think there's something to be said about just going inwards sometimes and asking yourself some deep and meaningfuls.
Priority.
But also understanding who you are in that journey, because your priorities will change, because you will change.
Yes.
So going through that journey and just asking yourself what's important right now for me. Kids, family, connection, friends, community, having fun. Literally spell out, what does that mean? Because the more fun you have, the more you sort of approach things with a positive mindset, and I'm all about positive mindsets, then you'll find that the money comes, the valuation comes, the people come.
Right.
It's a secondary effect. You don't have to chase it.
What motivates you, Kim?
Growth in me. Growth in me. Yeah. Because when I look at what I've learned, who I was even yesterday, who I was a year ago, 10 years ago, I'm a completely different person because I've been pushed. I've pushed myself. I've given myself opportunities that if I had been afraid of them, like you'd never catch me doing a podcast 2 years ago.
Really?
No.
And why now?
Because I love talking and engaging with people, and I love
too.
sharing things with the community because I like to be of service. So I found that within me, that actually everything that I wanted to do was to be of service. So when you are in that mindset, all of this stuff, the fear, the imposter syndrome, and oh my God, like that's been a journey in its own right. Of course, I'm a female in tech, I'm a female in law, I'm a female in MSP community. I mean, there is a lot of imposter syndrome I had to, and I'm still not completely over it.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
But I'm getting there. But all of this leads you to growth, and that's really kind of within me what I want to keep achieving. You know? And when I look at the growth, I don't just mean within myself. I mean the situations around me. Can I get my business to X amount? Not because I want that money, but because that's going to give me so many different opportunities. It's going to show me different things about myself. It's going to push me out of my comfort zone. And what does that look like? What does Kim look like when she gets to that stage? You know, so, and always trying to do it with a positive mindset, like just go with the flow. It's very easy to say, but go with the flow.
So given that motivation of personal growth, how are you measuring success?
How much I'm actually learning, how much I'm learning within myself, how much I'm building within myself. You know, what am I putting out there in the community? Have I done more than I did last year? Or am I still reclusing? You know, am I still shying away from pushing more and giving more and helping more people? And I think that's, if you look at metrics, I don't really kind of do proper metrics, obviously, for this kind of stuff because it's an inside thing. But that's how you'd measure the success. You know, would I have done this last year? Would I have done this yesterday? Would I have done this last week? So, yeah. And then opportunities seem to be coming to me without me trying because I'm just opening myself up in that way.
Right. I was so excited when we set this up, Kim. Thank you so much. Anybody
you,
watching or
Chloe.
listening, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can contact me on LinkedIn. It's Kim Simmonds. You can also email me, kim.simmonds, that's SIMMONDS, at cloudcontracts with an S, 365.com. Feel free to just drop me a message, even if you just want to have a chat about life.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Joey.
your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.